Right, you lot, and I have been on a roll lately with this channel. You used to get one video a month, now you're getting one every week. I'm trying, I promise, right? Now, I thought I'd bring back an old series, something that I started at the start of last season, kind of binned it off. But I wanna really get back into doing this channel because I feel like there's so much discussion now, week in, week out, in the Premier League when it comes to all the bloody VAR decisions and stuff you got to talk about. So I wanted to do a video just talk about the 10 games from the weekend. I call it the kind of prem roundup, and I talk about. I used to do predictions as well, but I'm just going to stick doing the roundups for now, and hopefully at some point I can do the prediction side of it as well. So let's start. Chelsea 4, Man City 4. What a game. I mean, the Chelsea-Tottenham game set the standard for this season. You know, it set a standard for game, and not even a week later, we already topped it. This game had everything, and you know what? When it came to the kind of drama, I wasn't too annoyed at anything that really happened in the game. I think Haaland's penalty was a bit bad. Like, it was a poor penalty. Like, it wasn't a penalty. It just wasn't. Like, he falls down like a sack of potatoes. Like, it's just terrible. City have had a lot of calls go their way this season. I think a lot of people pointed this out. You had the kind of a Kanji interfering with play goal, and then Man United a goal ruled out against Luton for a similar thing. You know, they've had Kovacic. Of course, he escaped red twice against Arsenal. I know Arsenal went on to win the game. There's been a couple things with City this season where it's been a bit questionable. They've not really had a bad decision yet. Which, look, I'm not going to scream corrupt. I'm not one of them, but it's one that gets your fingers turning. But this game was fantastic. I'm ready for Chelsea. It was the first time since probably Tuchel that I've really seen them really fight for it. You know, Man City, this has been a walkover fixture. They beat them like 5 or 6 times in a row. It's not been a competition, but Chelsea weren't afraid to attack in this game. They went for it, and look, they took risks. They conceded 4 goals, but they scored 4 goals, and scoring 4 for Chelsea was, you know, it's been difficult. Even Nicholas Jackson got on the score sheet. You know, it wasn't the most convincing goal, neither is any of his goals, but he scored, you know what I mean? Raheem Sterling had one of his best games in a Chelsea shirt. Caicedo looked quality alongside Gallagher, you know what I mean? They really ran the show, and Man City's midfield were exploited in that game. Rodri was left alone a lot of the time, and I thought Chelsea actually overworked them at points. I thought they were the better team, but of course Man City do have their dangerous attributes, you know. Doku, Foden, Haaland, you know, they all had their moments. Haaland scored 2 goals, you know what I mean? But the goals they scored, really, Rodri's was great, but it's a deflection. They got lucky there. The penalty, we've already explained that. The second Haaland goal, I mean, Chelsea, they might as well like wrapped a bow in it. It was such a gift. And the Akanji goal was similar. You know, Man City didn't show any quality in those goals. Chelsea on the other hand really had to work. And Chelsea's penalty was 100% a penalty, if you want to argue that as well. What a match, 4-4. And this point will feel like free for Chelsea to come back in the way that they did, to go toe-to-toe in a fixture that, you know, most people don't expect to do anything. And this showed vulnerability in the City. If you're an Arsenal fan, a Liverpool fan, even a Tottenham fan, you're still in it at the moment. Even Aston Villa fan, you've got to think, we could go for them this year. They're not the same team. I've been saying it since the start. Bournemouth 2, Newcastle 0. Newcastle's injury list is absolutely insane. Now, I know injuries is one of those things where, like every single team, it's always their go-to excuse whenever things are going bad. Chelsea last season, they use that one a lot. And look, I actually think it's a bit annoying when people moan about it because, you know, I, as a Liverpool fan, that 2021 season was insane. We lost our entire back line. You know what I mean? And people moan about Klopp, complain about injuries so much, but Newcastle fans are doing it now rightly. I mean, they don't have a recognised striker. They've been forced to put Anthony Gordon there. He's not a 9. And, you know, they've lost Bruno Guimaraes for this game because of suspension. That was a massive loss, and you could see it. And Sven Botman at the back, it's just, they needed to get a centre-back in the summer because, you know, Lascelles, Paul Dummett in 2023, like, really? Like, that bench, most of them were just people like Ryan Fraser, someone who just like, what's he still doing at Newcastle? And then it was just like a bunch of unknown people without even Wikipedia pages. It was just insane. Like, and it's such a shame that Newcastle couldn't really spend that money that they kind of acquired, because FFP, and it's a shame that, you know, they're doing it with Newcastle, but they didn't do it with Man City. But Bournemouth, Iriola is someone that I backed from the start, and it wasn't looking good for Iriola. I know he started off where he got the draw at West Ham, but it was deteriorating for him. It was. But I really do back Iriola. I like what he's doing, but I feel like his style does come at a cost. You know, he will concede a lot of goals, but I think he will score, and I think they will start to click now. Arsenal 3, Burnley 1. Routine win for Arsenal, to be honest. And, you know, Fabio Vieira's red card shocked me. He's just not someone you kind of think would get a red card, but there's no argument there. Even Arsenal fans didn't even try and protest it, so blatant red card. You know, I don't know what he's doing, but Burnley again, I don't get why people aren't talking about Company enough and the flop. Look, I know his squad aren't there, but he had a lot more money than Sheffield United and Luton, and he's performing on par, if not worse than both of them, considering the level of talent that he had. I think it's appalling what Company, and I think Company should be under more pressure. I don't think they sack him, because I think they have a plan and a project there, but no one's asking the question, but yet everyone wants Paul Heckingbottom to go because he's not a flashy man. It's strange. Liverpool 3, Brentford 0. This was a must-win for Liverpool, considering, you know, what happened at Luton, which was a very embarrassing result, to be honest. It was lucky they got a point. They kind of saved humiliation, but you got to be taking 3 points at Luton. It was a really bad game. Then they lost midweek, and you're like, oh, could this be? But no, this was prime Liverpool. They were at home, and look, Brentford had a lot of chances in the game. I'm not going to pretend that it was complete Liverpool domination, that they absolutely romped them and absolutely, you know, from minute one dominated, but that's what it felt. You know, Liverpool put the ball in the net 5 times. Darwin Núñez, of course, had 2 offside goals. The first one was tight, and you could argue it. The second one definitely offside. Mohamed Salah again proved a lot of people wrong. You know, I've seen a few people moan about Salah previously in the week because people doing U-turns on him, saying to send him to Saudi because he performed bad for like 2 games. It was insane, in my opinion. You know, he showed his quality in that game. Jota had an absolutely incredible goal, and Liverpool's just cooked in that game. Szoboszlai was back to his best in this match, and I want to talk about the defence because we were so desperate to keep that clean sweep. And Virgil van Dijk played one of the best games I've seen from him in a long time, and I don't think enough people are talking about how good Van Dijk's been this season, because I think people expect so much from Van Dijk that kind of the narrative of him is that he's past his best or he's not as good, when in reality, if you watch him this season, he's really not much worse than he was in prior seasons. Like, he's really close to that 2021-22 form. You know, last season was a blip, and I don't think it was his fault. Anyway, next match. West Ham 3, Nottingham Forest 2. Oh, you've got to feel bad for Nottingham Forest, man. You know, to go 2-1 up like Forest did, Anthony Elanga whipping off his shirt, and then moments later is 2-2. It's like, oh, look, both teams really impressive in this game. They showed a lot of attacking output. Awani was, you know, clinical as always, but it was just a very big win for West Ham because they've kind of been falling off a bit lately. West Ham had that amazing start, you know, they were top of the league, and they lost a couple games, and it's just been going downhill from there. So I feel that was a massive win for West Ham and David Moyes because the press was building there. Everton 3, Palace 2. How are Everton good? Like, when did this happen? Sean Dyche's ball is so frustrating, and they're actually winning games at the moment. They've got Man United next, and I hope they beat them because they're absolutely incredible. Decore, like, he's such a clutch player, and it's mental, you know, that Everton have turned around. And, you know, people are calling Dyche out in August, and this is why you've got to give these managers time, because look at what he's doing. You know, he lost to Liverpool, but apart from that, he's pretty much won like his past couple games. Like, it's insane. And Everton deserve more credit. Crystal Palace as well, because Eze was back. He was, of course, the bright side, the jewel and the crown, as you expect. But, you know, Palace are fine being there. Villa 3, Fulham 1. Villa at home are unstoppable, man. You know, away from home, they've been a bit dodgy at times. We all saw the Forest result. But at home, like, no one can beat Villa. They are so compact. They score goals in heaps, and you know, that attacking link up, the Watkins Diaby link up, you know, Douglas Luiz in midfield. You know, I'm so impressed with this Villa team, and I think even the squad depth they've got decent depth. You know, you're bringing someone in like Tielemans, who I know has not had the best start to Villa life, but he was decent in this game. He was of course involved, you know, in the goal and in the first goal, and it's kind of like they've got a squad. I think they've got a better squad than Brighton, to be honest, and they kind of are the best of the rest that aren't part of those kind of big six, or Newcastle kind of big seven. I think Emery is doing amazing at the moment. I don't think they will get Champions League football, but I think Europa, Conference League, it's very possible for Villa this season. Man United 1, Luton 0. Man United are such a frustrating team to watch this season, because last season they were built off defence and they had a really solid back line and Rashford carried them. This season they've not had that back line. Luke Shaw and Martinez have been injured, Varane's fallen out with the manager, and you know, well, they've got Wan-Bissaka, but he was injured as well for a bit and they've only recently got him back. And Marcus Rashford, well, he's stuck on one goal, which is actually the amount their whole attack has got this season, and they've been getting winners by defenders like Dalot, Lindelof and Maguire. Like, I think that says it all, to be honest. But this was a very boring result. You know, Man United should have won that game 5-0. The amount of chances they had, you know, missing sitters here, there. Rashford had to score that one. He was 1-on-1 with. It was really poor from Rashford. Garnacho as well, you know, he's not really set the world alight. I saw a lot of hype from last season. Everyone talk about how he's had to start. And look, he's lively. He gets a lot going, but his end product isn't exactly there. And Højlund still hasn't scored in the Premier League, despite leading the race to the Golden Boot in the Champions League. It defies odds. But they got over the line. You always knew they would. You know, they played relegation candidates this whole season. You know, I mean, like, their wins, they've got 7 wins, but they played all 3 of the bottom 3. They played Fulham, who are really poor at the moment as well, which I didn't really talk about Fulham, but they're in real danger. You know, they beat Nottingham Forest, they're kind of done the bottom as well. They beat Brentford, who they're probably the best team. They beat Toronto. That wasn't like they've not won a game by more than 1 goal, and they've never looked convincing. It's such a strange season, but they're 6th. Never have I seen a more false position in all of my life. Brighton 1, Sheffield United 1. This was another match where it was kind of like Brighton just showed injuries and just showed that lack of squad. You know, De Zerbi rotated a bit because I think after Thursday they had a hard-fought win at Ajax and Matoma, and João Pedro were on the bench, which surprised me. And, you know, Adingra scores an amazing goal. I mean, I called that he'd be the next Brighton superstar. I just knew it. Like, he just screamed that he'd be amazing, Adingra. But it went wrong for them. They got a player sent off, and Sheffield United probably should have won, to be honest. Like, you know, Paul Heckingbottom probably should have expected his 2nd win there, and it's mad. And the last game, Wolves 2, Tottenham 1. Rip the Tottenham title, John. I did a whole video on it, but it might actually be over now. No, to lead a game for as long as they did, 80% of it, like, even, I think it was 90% of it, you know, 91st minute, Wolves equalise. Momentum shifts to them. They give away some stupid free kicks, like, some of the tactics Spurs were doing there were naive, and look, and I really rate him. I think the stuff he did in Japan goes unnoticed. Chelsea fans can't speak higher of him, but he's making mistakes at the moment. But you've got to feel bad again is the injury list, and a lot of these teams have that get out jail free card of injuries, but it is a shame because, like, even as a rival fan, I don't want to see Man United have all these injuries, or Chelsea have all these injuries like they've had in the past, or Newcastle, because when I watch a Premier League game, I want to see the best 11 players that a team can put out. You know what I mean? I want to see. When I watch Liverpool Man City on about a week or so's time, I want to see the best possible 11 both these teams can make, but there will probably be 1 or 2 key players out. You know, De Bruyne obviously won't be there for Man City, and, you know, certain South American players come back to Inter might not be there. You know, Canate's out for Liverpool. Like, you've got, that's the issue. And the amount of injuries, it's not just like one or two key ones. Okay, that's quite bad, but it's the level, and I feel like it is an issue, and we're seeing this more and more this season. You know, there's been anomalies in the past, like Liverpool in the previous season, but the fact that there's multiple clubs, Brighton, Newcastle, Man United in particular, they're the key three at the moment who are really being hit with it. And look, you could laugh at them, they're doing poorly, but like, there's a reason there, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'll be back in after the international break. God, I'm not doing a video about the England squad. I can't, there's no point talking about Southgate. Like, it's so tiresome at this point. Like, Gareth Southgate's England squad was terrible. Wow, like, yeah, we know Henderson and Phillips are there and Maguire, but it's like, Anyway, I will see you lot next time. I'll do probably another prem roundup video. A couple of weeks. Or I might throw something in. I don't know what I'm going to do. Goodbye.